uppercut, sonic boom! Well, hello there humans, thanks very much for watching. Today we're going to be doing a big tilt at the Mini 14. This is a hell of a weapon, but it's going to be changed in update 1.7, or at least it is currently in that kind of a place on the beta. I went and played the beta so I can tell you all about that, and I also want to talk to you about, well, the stats of the weapon, the pros, the cons, some of the people who use it and why they use it, some of the things you probably don't know about the Mini 14 that may change your mind about the weapon itself, and we'll get a touch on DMRs and their place in the overall meta. God, we've got a lot to get through, so if you could just like and subscribe the video and smash things, that'd be great. Let's talk a little bit about the gun itself. It's replaced on Sanok by the QBU, which is a hell of a weapon, and the Mark 12 on Livic, but neither of those weapons are carbons of the Mini 14, and they've got a lot of differences, so we're not going to feature them today. The pros of the Mini really are that it's got the best shell velocity in game, the fastest bullet speed, and a hell of a good recoil profile. Now, I will talk a little bit about something I didn't mention there, and that's that it does have an 8x. And the reason I didn't mention it is there's more to the scopes on the Mini 14 than just the fact that it can mount an 8x. One of the things that a lot of people don't know about the Mini 14, and this is a bit of a well-kept secret, is that it features the same 4x that you get on the ARs. Now, a lot of people don't even know about that, but also a lot of people don't even know why that's a really, really good thing. And let me tell you why that is now. If someone is stationary, you shoot right in the middle of the red arrow there. That's where you want to hit. But what if someone is running? They're just jogging along the edge of the Erangel tundra. Well, the Mini 14 has this scope where if you basically line up perfectly between the red arrow and the black bar on the right and keep the target in that slot, it will hit every single time. It's incredible. It's so freaking incredible. And it works for the M416, the SCAR-L, the QBZ, the AUG 4, anything you're single tapping with 900 meters plus bullet velocity, that's where you want to shoot. Now, the Mini's got 1,000 meters a second, which is the highest bullet velocity in the game. So you'd be forgiven for not taking a 4x on it, because 8x is pretty important as for most of the DMRs, but the SKS and Co, they don't get that scope. They just get the plain old cross in the middle of the screen with a 4x. One of the problems for the Mini though is that in the upcoming patch, they're going to be lessening the damage over distance. Now, let's step back from this just for a second, and I will get into the beta numbers and everything in just a tick, but what I really want to talk about is the recent buffs, or the buffs over the past year or two. They've been to sniper rifles, bolt action rifles, they've received 2 buffs, SMGs, they've received multiple buffs, and certain ARs, not the 5.56 ARs, but the 7.62 ARs have received buffs. Why then, in this upcoming patch, is the Mini being nerfed, and the SKS, the VSS, the SLR are all being buffed? Haha! Important questions, and they get right to the heart of what is really going on here. And the clue is in the changes to the DP28. The DP28 is getting nerfed massively, both in terms of bullet speed, damage drop-off, like the Mini. Those are really important things. And they're also reducing the weight of 7.62 ammo, which is meaning you can carry more 7.62, so you can run an AK and an SKS without having your backpack fill up after 250 rounds. The reason for this is pretty simple. They are trying to make people use those weapons and move away from this spray meta. But this weapon here, the M416, can do just what a Mini does at range with a 3x scope, or what a DP28 does. You can see why the DP28 is getting nerfed. Like, this is what they're worried about with the DP28. And yet the M4 can do all this and still function as a very, very good up close and personal AR that is excellent for CQC. And I have a problem with the idea of nerfing the Mini's damage over distance, which will make it less effective at this kind of range, and not touching the M416. It's almost like the Mini is paying for the sins of the M4, the DP28 is paying for the sins of the M416, the whole meta is paying for the sins of the M416, but the M416 doesn't get touched. Everything else gets nerfed around it, or buffed around it, and it never gets touched. So I'm not certain that it's going to make people change their playstyle at all. If you think about this, the best close quarters combat weapon in the game in terms of time to kill is a Mark 14. And the Mark 14 is constantly left in crates by people running M416s because they don't want to lose their M416. It's nuts. They'll run an Uzi and an M416, or a UMP and an M416, or an AKM and an M416, but heaven forbid that they pick up a Mark 14, because that's just too difficult. So I'm not certain whether there's going to be any impact at all from these changes. I know the DP is going to be useless, and I know that the SKS and the VSS and the SLR are going to be more effective. But this gun here, the Mini 14, is going to be made less effective, while the weapon that takes its place already, the M416, that has the same kind of shell velocity, has the same kind of recoil profile, and can also fire full auto with a 40 clip, maintains its stranglehold on the spray and pray meta. Now, the Mini does have one other advantage, obviously. It has a higher base damage round, 45.9, which is really important because that means it's excellent as a secondary weapon. You can run an M762 and a Mini 14, and the Mini 14 can actually do good things in CQC. I know you don't believe me, but I mean, you've seen the clips here. I'm using it on hot drops. I'm using it as a secondary AR. I'm using it all the time to accentuate CQC situations, and it works because it's got a bigger base damage round and it's able to tap fire very, very quick. Now we come to another interesting thing. A big part of the reason people don't use Mini 14s, SLRs and SKSs is because it requires you to tap fire, where you can hold down a holographic sight at 100 meters like that with an M416 and use it to sweep across the screen. And that's because a lot of people run smaller devices. You can see me, I'm on the right, and I've got an iPad over there. I've got an iPad, and I've got a 6-finger claw, and I can tap fire, and I can duck and weave and peek and lean, and I've got plenty of screen space to do it. If you're running a phone that's got a 7-inch screen, even though that's a big phone, you may not have the room to have both a tap fire button, like a button where you can just tap, 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 tap. A lot of people are going to use their thumbs and gyro. And that makes guns like the Mini far less effective. And you can't overcome that. It makes guns like the SKS and the SLR far less effective, and you can't overcome that. I mean, a sniper rifle is what it is. It is an extreme bolt action boomstick. It has super high front loaded damage. So you can still use a sniper on a phone. But if you're using a DMR, you need to have both the screen space and the manual dexterity to use it. And for a lot of new players, it's just simpler to run an M416 or a Scar L, put a 3X on top of it, refine your gyro settings, and let it work. Is it good or is it bad? Well, I don't really know. And I don't understand why PUBG Mobile is so adamant that if they're going to try and push people towards 7.62 DMRs, why are they nerfing the DP28 and not the M416? Why are they and I remember talking on Twitter with Imperium and Zute, and they were talking about how the DP28 is super strong in comp. And I agreed that it should be nerfed. But I don't understand how you nerf the DP28 and that meta, but you don't nerf the M416 when it can also tap fire like a Mini 14 and full spray like a DP28 and in CQC be very, very effective as a, high velocity, 50 meter mid-range monster. It's an interesting conundrum, and the Mini 14 is caught right in the middle of this. Now, I don't even know if it's good for the game for the M4 to be nerfed, but I can tell you right now, there is a simple solution to this AR versus DMR issue. All you do is lower the damage over distance of ARs, all of them, so that once they get over 75 meters, there's a steep drop off, and that damage becomes noticeably less. You would both lower the damage of the ARs and cause people to use bolt actions and DMRs more, and you would also make the game far more fun because people would not be dying as quickly as they do the M416 sprays with everyone lying down doing their PMCO ready finest. This is just my take. Is it good for the game though? I don't know. People are pretty happy with where the game is now. It's been incredibly successful. These balance issues are what keep me up at night though, and I love the challenge of the game, and I love the idea that this is all going to be a melting pot and we're going to see how it goes. It's a bold patch by PUBG Mobile, and we'll see how it runs out. And the Mini 14 is going to probably be in the same place it's in now. Underutilized, not the most popular weapon on the battlefield, and replaced by an M416, a Scar L, or a G36C as soon as it gets picked up. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you like the content, leave a like, hammer that subscribe button, or leave your thoughts on the mini nerf, the DP nerf, the upcoming SKS buff, the SLR, whatever, or, you know, anything you'd like to see a video on down below in the comments section. Rock and rumble, boys and girls. Thanks for being part of the process. And until next time, stay safe on the battlefield. Bye for now.